Hello everyone. Right, so I thought I'd give you a very quick update of the PSP project because I've decided to get myself back in gear and get on with it again. I've had a bit of a break. I've been between jobs. I've been sort of doing personal development, improving my skills for work rather than for these projects and things. But it's something I've been wanting to get back to, and I've kind of got the motivation again. So I thought, let's get back at it and give you a bit of an update. So I think where we left off, we were building these, which are to replace the buttons on the PSP, because what we need to do is tap into these signals. So as you can see here, we've got this long flex bit, which allows me to hook into those signals, and then this goes in and replaces the PSP's buttons. So I think we got to the point where these work. They're in the PlayStation now, and it allows you to use a sort of a mixture of buttons. So you could use tactile buttons, like in the Game Boy SP, for the nice clicky buttons, or the Vita. But you could also use more traditional carbon pads with these, which is quite nice. The other really big thing, see if I've got one in here to show you, is it allows you to intercept, I don't have an example in any of these annoyingly, the analog stick, because on the PSP 2000 the analog stick isn't a connector like it is with all the other buttons. It's just two bits that sit on top of each other and make contact. So what it allows you to do is the custom little circuit board sits in the middle and intercepts those signals. So we can inject our own analog stick positions with, when you've got a controller connected, and it means no soldering, which is fantastic. So all of this is reversible and you're not permanently modifying the console, which is great. So yes, that's where we was. I have since created a little development machine. Like you can see here, this thing all rigged up. So, we're targeting ESP now. I think before all of this, I was using an Arduino. So I've got that hooked up. I've got it all back here, I don't know if you can see that, all wired up to the circuit boards. And yeah, so it works. So I can use, I don't know if you can hear that, the clickiness. I can use the original buttons and I can use the ESP. So in a minute, I will plug this in and show you it's actually working. I'm not editing this video, this is just a quick one to show you. So I'm just going to move the camera so you can see. So one moment, please. Alright, so I wasn't going to do any editing, but my low battery warning popped up, so I'm doing a bit of editing. So I've got the PSP, as it's bog standard. I can use all the buttons with your nice clickiness. I don't know if I get anything in there. No, but I can also connect, in this case it's a Switch controller. So I just need to sync it. There we go, synced. So now I can use this. So if I'm going to do this so I can show you at the same time. There we go, and you can see it works. So if I go into the web browser, I haven't got my memory card in here, so I don't have any actual homebrew to test the buttons. So if I go down to the address, wherever it is, there it is. So you can see that I can select stuff. I can, which one goes back? Square. There we go. So that works. I can use the shoulder. I don't know if you can see the cursor moving there. So yeah, it works. So currently, I've only got those buttons, and the shoulder buttons mapped. The next job is the analog stick, because that uses a digital. I've forgotten the name, but it emulates the analog stick, so I need to do that next. And then it's all the other stuff like custom mappings and all that kind of stuff. Actually, yeah, that's something to talk about. So let's spin the camera back around. Won't be a minute. All right, okay. I assume you can see me because I haven't got a clue. Yeah, this has turned out to be a bit more faff, this video. It's meant to be a quick, just give you an update, but I've chopped it up now, so I'm going to have to stick it back together. But anyway, so yes, what was I saying? So that's it. So you've got the buttons, you can use the face buttons. I'm going to be doing the analog sticks. But the other main thing I want is to get the button mappings back. Because obviously when you're playing PS1 games, I believe R2 and L2 were left and right on the analog stick. So we need to allow a mapping for that. So if you're using, a proper controller, it works. But one of the big things that the ESP gives me is I have access to the Bluetooth stack. So when I was on the Arduino, that was handled by the library, a fantastic library called BluePad32 that deals with talking to controllers. But it meant I couldn't do any Bluetooth communication. So now I have a web app that can connect to the ESP to do configuration. So right now, the only configuration it does is what GPIO pins are connected to what PSP button. So if somebody was using this project and they didn't like the pins I've used, they're using the ESP for something else, they can remap those physical pins on the ESP to say the X button uses pin 12 instead of pin 13 or something. But what I want to then do after that is allow you to make your own configurations. So I think in my original Consolizer, I had the bog standard, just default mapping. I had a first-person shooter kind of mapping where these buttons were mapped to the right analog stick to give you that more traditional one, and then obviously the PS1. But it would be great to allow you to create whatever mappings you want, and per game or whatever, and then have other configurations such as dead zones for the analog sticks, or stuff like that. Because what I would love to do is to have the ESP physically talking to the PSP, because right now they don't actually talk to each other. The firmware and the ESP knows nothing about the software, whatever, on the PSP. But if I could get them to talk to each other, the PSP could say, yo mate, I'm playing game XYZ, and on the ESP you could have configured a button mapping for game XYZ, and it will automatically apply those mappings. You could then argue, well, what's the point in the